The reason why most people are burnt is because, number one, they try to do things they are not educated about. It requires you getting up after this call and saying, you know what? I really want to understand more about what it takes to invest on the stock market. Let me reach out to Gustav. Let me reach out to Dr. Edimo. Let me find out what this thing is all about. Let me join their community so that I can start building my knowledge base. I can start building my understanding. That's what it takes. That way, you are sure that anytime you go to invest on the stock market, you are not gambling. You are not making a bet. You are not making a decision based on how you feel, but you are making informed decision on facts that are proven about a business that sustain and build over time. How important it is to make sure that the money that comes in as actively generated money, a big portion of it is converted into a seed and planted, nurtured so that it can multiply. And one of the platforms we know multiplies that seed into multiple thousands and thousands of fruits is the stock market. But one of the things talking to a lot of people I've met is they either don't know that it exists, they've heard about it, don't understand how it works, or they have heard about it, got some information the wrong way, tried to invest the wrong way, lost some money, got burnt, and feel discouraged about the stock market. One of the things I want us to talk today is that journey of yours, that journey of the mistakes you also made, because there is no single person who is successful today at building wealth through investing for assets that has not paid the price of being on the stock market and losing some money. I want you to talk about that journey and some of the mistakes you made. There is no question anything of significance that has ever been achieved in this life rode on the back of people who just decided they were going to be resilient, they were going to hang in there and continue doing it even when they fail. And it always amazes me, right? It always amazes me because many people are willing to bet on their pastor telling them how their life is going to turn out, on their jobs keeping them for 40 years, even though you cannot control whether they keep you hired or not, on mentors who are not proven and who haven't given you a reason to believe that they can do what they say they can do for you when they haven't done it for themselves. Invest in ventures from different people's ideas who just meet them in different places, in meeting houses, in the gym, and propose some business to them and they invest in that. And somehow they don't believe enough in their own self to believe in to invest in the minimal education that is required to put you on a place that can propel and transform your lives forever. Because the way I look at it, right? The $60,000 you lost, I lost about 80,000. I consider that tuition, honestly, because over the last 5 years, my portfolios have grown more than that. Not to talk of the portfolios of people I coach, right? So when you look at the exponential growth of that tuition, to me, that is even worth more than tuition in college. Because what I learned from that, I'm able to implement it, and now it's generating real fruits. And I know that it will generate for a long period of time because I am totally in control of my destiny at this point. You are totally in control of your destiny. You know exactly what to do to duplicate your money without doing anything illegal, without taking risk on businesses that you know it's going to fail, because 9 out of 10 businesses generally fail within the first 5 years. Simple. It's tough to build a business. So what people need to realize is that the stock market is the saving grace because it doesn't respect anything. It doesn't discriminate on color. It doesn't discriminate on pigmentation. It doesn't discriminate on academic qualification. It doesn't discriminate on religion. It doesn't discriminate where you come from in the world. As long as you want to know and you want to learn, you have some money to invest, it is going to give you the result you want to give. Because when people tell me they lost money on the stock market, I always ask them a very simple question. How long were you invested in what you invested in? That's the first question I ask. Oh, I was invested for this, for that. Okay. The second question now, I start getting more into the technicals. What company was that? What is the history of that company? And a lot of times people don't know. Because what people need to understand, and if you're listening to Dr. Edimo and I today, I want you to really take note of this. We're going to get into some more details, but I want you to just, if anything, take this one thing I'm going to tell you now. The US stock market has close to 10,000 companies traded on the stock market. Less than 2% of those companies are premium companies that have proven that can last and that can deliver profitability over a period of time. So your job as a long-term value investor, which is what we preach a lot, Dr. Edimo and I, investing for the long term in premier companies, companies that are proven, and investing over time consistently without stopping. That is when you are sure that you are going to see results that are incredibly progressive and results that you will not feel burnt. The reason why most people are burnt is because number one, they try to do things they are not educated about. And education here, like Dr. Edimo highlighted earlier very brilliantly, doesn't require no classroom. It requires you getting up after this call and saying, you know what? I really want to understand more about what it takes to invest on the stock market. Let me reach out to Gustav. Let me reach out to Dr. Edimo. Let me find out what this thing is all about. Let me join their community so that I can start building my knowledge base. I can start building my understanding. That's what it takes. That way, you are sure that anytime you go to invest on the stock market, you are not gambling. You are not making a bet. You are not making a decision based on how you feel, but you are making informed decision on facts that are proven about a business that will sustain and build over time. The great Warren Buffett is a billionaire today. And most of his money has been given out, and he's pledged to give out 99% of his money. This guy, over the last 60 years, he has been investing, has only invested in less than 250 companies out of 10,000. Do you think he's crazy? Why is he not investing in all the 10,000 companies since he has billions? Is that right, Dr. Edimo? The reason why is because of that 10,000, only a small percentage over time will continue to deliver you value. And that is where coaches like myself, Dr. Edimo, come into place. Because we have learned, we understand how it works, we understand the market, and we can give you guidance, which is not financial advice, but it's just guidance based on what we are doing. And we have been successful with that. And if you want to be successful, you can replicate that. So if you're working a 9-to-5 job, earning a good paycheck, bringing home some good money, but you are still feeling stuck when it comes to building real wealth, I know exactly how that feels. I used to be that way, chasing the paychecks, adding more jobs on jobs, and I thought bringing big money means I would automatically build wealth. But you know what? It took me 2 painful layoffs to finally get the lesson, to understand that, Gustav, you were building the wrong way. Gustav, you need to do something else, because what used to be job security is now job insecurity. That wake-up call was a few years ago. And since then, I decided I was going to build a brand to help cater to professionals, to immigrants, to hardworking, hungry people like you who want to see something different, who want to make sure that they don't end up broke, to have a platform and a template to work with. And now I want to create something with you in mind, for you and for your needs. A product designed to help guide you on how to invest and see results from that. That's why I'm inviting you to take part in this poll. It's going to be less than 5 minutes for you. Fill the poll. And when you do that, you're going to be automatically entered into benefit 30% of the early bird access for that program. In addition to that, you are going to have exclusive founders only bonus content, a chance to make this historic product, make it personal, your own pathway along with me. So click on the link below and complete the 5 minutes poll. Because you know what? I just don't want to build something. I want to build something with you in mind, with you participating and making sure that it meets your needs. I will see you on the inside. And by God's grace, I will see you at the top. So I think one of the important things you really talked about too is, just understanding. You talked about the rule of 72, which is basically being able to use that rule to determine how fast your money is going to take based on the growth rate to double. I like that you bring that up because it's very powerful. You can project that, right? And another very important thing that you also talked about, which I think, and I hope everybody really captured that in the essence of what it is the fact that you have a threshold of risk that you can take. The greater the risk you take, the greater the potential reward, but the greater the risk, right? The reality of the matter is the stock market is like a race. We all know the historical stories of the race, right? The hare and the tortoise, right? At the end of the day, you make a decision. There is a chance you can go as a Lamborghini, but it increases your risk of getting a crash and ending up with zero. There's a chance you can go slow and steady and you get there because it has been proven over 100 years with different potentials that you will get there. But the interesting thing we're here to make very clear to everybody is I'm not saying that there is no risk. I am not saying that there is any guarantees. There really isn't any guarantees. Even in life, there is no guarantee. Getting up in the morning is not a guarantee. But what I'm saying is that the stock market has 100 years of history behind it. And in not only 100 years of history, but the history is still being made every day. We see it. One minute the market is down 15%, the next minute the market is at an all time high. What that is telling me is that the businesses that are trading on the market, especially when you understand the businesses that are valuable, that are long lasting, and that are proven, and you invest in those businesses, it doesn't matter where the stock price of that business is in the short term. As long as your goal is the long term, you are going to get there. Because there is something called the intrinsic value of a company and the price of the stock. The intrinsic value is what the real worth of a share of that company is. The price of the stock of that company is what the market is determining in the short term based on emotions. Donald Trump said this, oh, the price of Google is dropping. Something happened, oh, the price of Apple is dropping. It doesn't mean the worth of that company has changed. That is a company that has been producing profits over the last 15 years. That is a company that has 3 billion active devices in the world. That's a company that innovates and is making money. Just because something happened and in the short term, the price of that company dropped, it doesn't mean the company has started losing money. What it means is if you are not educated, you will be afraid to start selling your shares at a loss. But when you are educated, you understand that, hey, that means that company is at a discount now. That means it's 20% off. I can buy 4 of them for the same price I used to buy 3. Why don't I go buy 4? That is the idea. That is why we spend time trying to educate people on those things. Because for most people, most of us immigrants coming into America, I can tell you whether you are a private business person, you are an entrepreneur, you are a regular 9 to 5 worker, you must include investing on the US stock market as part of your financial plan. In fact, it should be a financial plan for everybody. Guys, if you're finding some value in this video, why don't you go ahead and click that like button? Give me a thumbs up. Let me know that the effort I'm putting into all of this is valuable on your end and you are seeing some value in it. And why don't you go ahead too and share this with your loved ones, with everybody you know. You certainly want to make sure you bring them up to speed so that way you are not too far ahead of them in terms of your knowledge, experience, and what you can do to transform your life. And by all means, if you think and you believe very strongly that this video is providing you the value that can unlock your purpose, that can help you invest on the stock market, build wealth, and build a lasting legacy, then this is an opportunity to click the subscribe button. Join the community so that together we can continue to encourage each other, motivate each other, and push each other to the finish line. We are this close, and I believe it's possible for you. Let's go back to the video. And that is a very important question Pastor Jiwa asked because it's a dilemma for many people, right? But something I learned very early from a mentor of mine. I took him out for lunch one day and I wanted to pick his brain. So I invited him. This guy's a multimillionaire. At that point, he was about 55, has built multiple businesses, sold some of them. So he was worth about $60 million. And we went out for lunch to a steakhouse. And while sitting at the steakhouse, I opened the menu and I was looking at it. And I noticed that the steakhouse also had some fish options on the menu. And so it kind of was funny to me. And I told him, man, this is crazy. This is a steakhouse. What do they have to do with fish? And he told me something that stuck with me and has always stuck with me for a while. He said, Gustav, generally most steakhouses, especially where we are right now, this is a top of the line steakhouse and they cater to rich people. And to rich people, they don't think about or, they think about and. So it's never a choice between one or the other. There's always the possibility for both. I don't know if it makes sense. So it's not either you are eating steak or you are eating seafood. You can eat steak and seafood if you choose to. It's not a matter of cost anymore for you. It's a matter of what you want, right? So in relation to Pastor Jiwa's question, it is important, especially for us immigrants in America, to understand that it doesn't have to be one or the other. In fact, the way I see it and with the understanding I have now, the stock market should be the primary vehicle to fuel generation of capital for investment for most people. Think about it this way, guys. Just think about it this way, right? Let me just give you a hypothetical example. Let's say I want to build an apartment complex in Santa in Cameroon. It's going to cost me $300,000 to do that. And I've projected and budgeted myself, and it's going to take me 5 years to raise $300,000 to do that, which basically means it's $60,000 a year, right? That is great. So it means every year I spend $60,000 to put it up, and it will take me 5 years to finish that building. Now, here is the way I look at these things. Number one, I am going to bury dead money on that. When I say dead money, I mean it's active money I made, and I'm going to put it directly into building that. Number two, if I invested that in an average ETF on the US stock market, which delivers 10% a year, that is $6,000 a year in growth that comes to that money for me, right? So basically, if I do the math within those 5 years and I invest 60,000 a year at 10%, by the time I get to year 5, I might be sitting on close to maybe 400,000. Right? Number one, it has saved me an extra 100,000 of money I would have put, which is money which is growth. Number two, now when I start doing that building, I don't need to sell my assets from the stock market to do that building. I can withdraw part of that money as a loan against my assets on the stock market for a simple small interest of maybe 5 to 6%. But what that does, guys, and I want you to pay attention to me very clearly. What that does is that the hen that is laying the golden egg is still laying that egg in the stock market. So when you take that money out, you invest it in that business. And if for some reason it is not producing as much as you want it to produce, or it's not working out as much as you want it to work out, that building is not done and over. At least even if the business is taking time to develop, to generate profit, you still have something here that is generating 10% every year in growth. I don't know if I make sense. That is the way I see this thing, especially for people who want to invest in Africa and in the US. Generate the capital from here. And when you get the capital from here, maybe it's from your job, maybe it's from a business you do. Don't just take that capital all out there. No. Put that capital to be working for you on the stock market here. And then take a piece of it and go invest in that business. And that business starts growing and producing profit is good. If the business needs additional capitalization, you have a source here that is growing. So think about it in this case. I'm just talking about 60,000 a year. What if you are a successful business person and you could generate 200,000 a year? What if you're a successful person and you could generate 300,000 a year? Now you start seeing the power of this thing. Right? You start seeing what is possible, and you start seeing why it is important to realize that it's not either or. So, in relation to your question, Pastor Njiwa, even if they have their investments in Africa, which is still a good thing, but I will recommend, if I'm in that situation, to not not ignore investing on the US stock market because it is a proven vehicle and you know for a fact that it is going to be there. The US stock market, there are years that have dropped close to 40% and it's still recovered. If you take the market between 1981 till today, the S&P 500 has grown by thousands of percentage, no, by hundreds of percentages. If you take that last 40 years, right, there have been all kinds of things from the Iraq war to the Iran war to COVID to the dot-com crash, all those things where everybody thought the world is going to die. Nothing is going to happen. We are finished. It's over for the world. Yet, we are still sitting today. And I have no reason to believe it's not going to be the case in 20 years. I have no reason to believe it's not going to be the case in 30 years. I believe, like most of us immigrants here, that we have a moral responsibility to develop our continent. But we have to develop it in a sustainable way that makes it possible too for us to live. So if you enjoyed this one, leave us some comments down in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Let us know some of the topics you want us to talk about. If there are some specific things that you're worried about, feel free, ask those questions. That is going to guide us to give relevant conversations around the things that are useful to you. We just don't want to come here and blabber all afternoon. No, we want to make sure that it's of value to you people too, right? So leave us a comment. And of course, if you look down in the comment section of the video, you'll see some pinned comments. You see the private communities. You can join our private communities where we share invite only information to just the people who are there on a daily basis. We're keeping them motivated, keeping them grounded, keeping them directed, and starting to build wealth and significant progress in their lives. The whole idea is, like Dr. Edimo said, we just want to make sure we get as many people educated, understanding, and knowing exactly what is going on. Until next week, have a great weekend. Save on the road. Don't drink too much. If you drink, please pay an Uber, pay a Lyft. Don't take the risk driving because it's not worth it. Make sure that you keep investing on the stock market, invest in assets to build wealth, to build great destinies, and most importantly, to secure a legacy that will change the name of your progeny.